Hey everyone, hope you're still doing well, still kicking, still writing. Today's topic is something that is near and dear to my heart. I know I say that about every video, but this one really is. I am so passionate about helping people get into the publications of their dreams. What does that mean to you? What is the publication of your dreams? For some people, that means just getting into a publication. It's hard. That first step is tough. For other people, it means like really shooting for the stars. They're the people who want to get into like Human Parts, Forge, a little bit later on in your Medium journey. Also very tough. Other people just want to get into the publications that they love to read about and would love to see themselves in. So the ones that I was most excited about joining, Jane Austen's Wastebasket, honestly still one of my faves. I got published in there the other day, I was buzzing. P.S. I Love You is one that's just so well run, and you can tell that they really take a lot of care with all of their stories. Dream publication means a lot of different things to a lot of different people, but for the most part, they're all looking for the same thing. Let's talk about what those same things are. What this is going to come down to is how to write a good story on Medium. This is not only going to help you with getting into publications that have really high standards for publishing, but it's also going to help you develop your story to be better. I think about these things every time I write a story, and I think that it'll help most of you who are watching this video too. Here is what I have, and I'm going to talk about these in no particular order. They all matter about the same amount. Think of it just kind of like a checklist that you should go through when you're writing your story. First thing that comes to mind is, for me, kind of the one that I'm guiltiest of. Is it written for the reader? That means, is the story written for the reader in mind? Does the writer move beyond their own perspective? So I write a lot of stories that are like my, this that I did type of story, a very personal perspective. There's nothing wrong with that on Medium, but when you write these kinds of stories, you just have to be especially careful that you're still maintaining the reader's viewpoint in mind. So when you write those stories, you're thinking, are they getting anything out of this? Have I written this for them, or have I just written it as a diary post for myself? Again, both are valid, but the publications that you probably want to get into are looking for a really high standard of value for the reader. Number 2, how does the reader feel when they finish reading it? Publications like Better Marketing, they're very productivity driven. They have an end goal in mind. You walk away from one of those and you're like, I feel like I've gained something tangible, a skill, a lesson, a shift in my perspective that is going to make me more productive in the future. Take that, compare that with like P.S. I Love You, for example. People read that and they feel warmed, they feel compassionate, they feel happiness, they feel joy, they feel love, heartbreak. So a very, very different set of feelings. At the end of both extremes, the kind of like emotional and the more mental, both are walking away with something. They walk away feeling satisfied. They've had a complete story. So that's the next question, is how do your readers feel after they've finished reading it? Have they gotten what they were hoping for? Number 3, are you citing your sources? I cannot tell you how many times I've talked about this and written about this, because it's one of my biggest pet peeves that I see in stories, even those written in bigger publications, is sometimes people write stuff and they say outlandish things like, I don't know, something like, this email subject title has a 2 times opening rate, and then they don't link it to anything. And I'm like, you could have just made that up. How would I know? You could have just made that up. Right? If you write a fact, any kind of claim, do your best to back it up with sources. It can be a peer-reviewed journal, it can be a blog post somebody else has written. If you're venturing into making statements that go beyond what you've experienced and go more into like what you know to be true, make sure you try to back those up. Try to find a way to prove that fact for anybody else who might be reading. Number 4, does it offer a good reading experience? This 4th and final tip is kind of an umbrella for all sorts of things. The easiest way to tell if your story offers a good reading experience is to do 2 things. First of all, read it out loud to yourself. It's kind of cringy. The best thing you can do is actually record yourself and then listen to it back. But if you can't bring yourself to do that, at least read it aloud. This is going to help you catch typos. It's going to help you fix the flow. It's going to help you sort out the best structure to tell your story. Reading it aloud just gives you the tools to kind of chisel away at the fluff, find more meat, and make sure that your story is the very best self that it could possibly be. The next best thing you can do is reading it to someone else. You can share a draft link, you can read it aloud to a family member, post it in one of the many, many Facebook groups for Medium writers. There are a lot of tools out there to help you find an editing buddy and that will really, really help your story to get a fresh perspective on it. What those two things will help you do is, first of all, make sure that it's easy to follow. It's going to fix a lot of typos, a lot of structural changes that might need to be made. When you finish it, or your friend finishes it, take note of how you or they feel. This is going to tell you whether it's compelling, whether you've hit the mark that you wanted to hit. If you catch yourself tripping up on difficult language, or you find that your mouth is getting dry from reading forever, that might be a note for you to change the language to something more accessible, to break up a paragraph, to add an image. If you find your mind wandering, your reader's probably going to be bored too. Reading aloud, friend doing a bit of editing, that's going to help your story become a better reading experience. Those are the 4 things that you should be checking off your list when you're aiming to get into your dream publication, no matter what that dream publication is. Not only that, but these stories that you write that follow these guidelines are going to help you move beyond those publications and into other publications, or even get picked up by outside of Medium, for example, Forbes, Positively Positive, Inc. Good stories are good stories, no matter what they're about, no matter what they come from. Once you have those 4 checkpoints ticked off, you are going to be writing objectively better stories, and those will always find a good home. All right, I hope that I've covered how to write a story that will get you into the publication of your dreams on Medium. If you feel that I've missed anything out, don't be afraid to leave a comment and I will be happy to address it. And if you have any other questions about this or anything else, let me know. All right, I'm looking forward to hearing from you all, and have a wonderful rest of your week. All right, bye.